we're hooked on unhealthy behaviors, we're just not living from who we can be. We're not living the life that we long for. So the good news, and science describes it in terms of neuroplasticity, is that our brains and our habits can change. And really the power of awareness to bring above the line the places that we're caught, and thereby give us some choice. And in this case, with this particular practice, just to acknowledge the suffering, the 3 marks of trance, and to feel our aspiration. That's a very powerful first step. Okay, friends, so wherever you are, if you can take some moments to come into stillness, to let the attention go inward. If you're listening to this in a car, you might just listen to it now as you drive, but then come back and do it at a time when you can really let your attention go inward. Take a few full breaths. Really invite yourself right here. And you might choose a behavior that you'd like to deepen attention to, an unhealthy behavior that you know in some way gets in the way of what's possible for you. It might be over-consuming food or drugs or alcohol, ways that you're hooked on digital kind of screens, internet, texting, YouTube, gaming. Maybe it has to do with sleep, or anything that you feel you want to have more freedom around. And with some interest, to begin to investigate and bring up a recent time when you realized you were going to engage with this activity. And just begin with that, where you were and what was going on right before you began the activity, as well as you can. And just noticing whatever triggered you, got you wanting to do what you were going to do. And if you can, just to notice the quality of grasping, of wanting. That kind of drive to go do it, to experience it, to have that pleasure. And it may be before you started, or it may be that when you're in the midst, wanting more, wanting the second helping, or wanting to play another level, or wanting to sleep more. And you might even, to explore it, sense even the word wanting. Feel how it is in your body when you're wanting. Just notice what your body is like when there's a really compelling wanting. You can almost sculpt it just to feel like, especially if you're in a place where you're alone and can play a little, just get your body into that position of wanting. It may be that you have more fists, and you might kind of have your shoulders hunched in forward, and you might feel it kind of tightening through your body. Or it might be that you're reaching out for something and trying to grab it, leaning forward. Maybe you feel a leaning forward and a grasping with your hands and your fists. But sense what goes on inside you when there's wanting taking over, when you're hijacked by wanting. It's an interesting exploration. Notice the discomfort of wanting. So this is the first part, some compelling experience, some urge, some compulsion. And the second is to, in a sense, you're looking back when you were doing the behavior. How aware were you of your body sensations, of your emotions? What was the quality of presence, of relatedness maybe to other people, to your surroundings? So just scan and sense the degree of disconnected, of cut off. that as you're pursuing what you're wanting, there's a kind of cutoff from your body, maybe from even any sense of what most matters to you in your life. This is the second suffering of trance, that cut-offness, that disconnection. And then recollect what it was like right after doing the behavior, or maybe the next morning. How were you relating to yourself vis-a-vis the behavior? Do you like yourself? Is there a sense of judgment of I'm bad or this is bad? A feeling of badness. If you imagine that others were watching, what's your sense of yourself in the eyes of others? So that to whatever degree, just feel and acknowledge self-aversion, shame, judgment, what that's like. And now take a moment to breathe. Let the breath help to open you. A few full breaths. You might imagine that you could just in some way transport to sacred space, to some place that's beautiful, safe, inspiring. And just to call forward your wisest, most loving self. What you might call your high self or your future self or your awakened heart, to bear witness so that you can look through the eyes and feel with the heart of this awake place. Again, the signs of trance, just recognizing them. Okay, so that's when the small self is caught in compulsion, there's not much choice. When the small self's disconnected, not at home, and when the small self is turned on itself, not liking, and just recognize it, witness it. This is the suffering of trance. And from that place of the awake heart, just feel your care, the aspiration for freedom. And you might feel it as a prayer in whatever words fit for you. May I be free. May I unhook from this habit. And may I hold what's happening with true kindness, with true compassion. Whatever words fit for you. Feel your aspiration now in a deeply sincere way. There's a real power to bringing above the line what's true and holding it with kindness, feeling our aspiration. And if you widen your view right now, just to remember you're not alone, that we're exploring this together. And it's a societal suffering, the loneliness, the stress, the more addictive products. We all have the conditioning, the survival brains that get hooked, and freedom is possible. Freedom is possible. So as you sense this, just to include others too in your heart, our whole larger society and world, that we all can awaken from trance. We all can open to the potential of awake hearts and minds.